Let me go. Elliott, you're insane. I thrashed wildly, my vocal cords burning raw from screaming. I'm not crazy. You can't do this to me. The only response was the dull clang of the iron gate slamming shut, and the stench of disinfectant mingling with mildew in the corridor. A woman in a blue nurse's uniform approached, her face expressionless as she jabbed a needle into my arm. Cold liquid spread through my veins, my struggles weakening, my vision blurring at the edges. Patient 739. This is your home now, her voice cut like a scalpel. Don't bother resisting. Your parents signed the voluntary admission papers. To the outside world, you're suffering from acute psychosis and need involuntary treatment. Parents. The words seared my heart like a red-hot brand. Just yesterday afternoon, I'd been slicing my mom's favorite green grapes in the kitchen, while she hugged me and said, "Lila, Elliott is someone you can trust with your life." Dad had sat on the couch reading the newspaper, glancing up occasionally to give me a proud smile. But when Elliott suggested sending me to a sanitarium to regulate my mood, they didn't hesitate for a second, they signed that document filled with jargon on the spot. Only later did I learn that the pen they held had been scorched by Elliott's threats. My name is Lila Winslow. I'm 25, a graduate of Columbia's art history program, with a decent job at a gallery and a fiancé about to propose, Elliott Finch. At least 24 hours ago, my life was the envy of everyone around me. The disaster struck 3 nights ago. I'd stayed late at work, arriving home at 10 to find Elliott sitting in the dark living room, his face shadowed by the glow of his laptop screen, his expression dark and unrecognizable. "What are you looking at?" I asked casually. He jolted, slamming the laptop shut, and pulled me into a hug so tight it took my breath away. "Nothing, just work stuff," he said, his voice trembling almost imperceptibly. "Lila, let's get engaged next week. I've booked tickets to Santorini. We'll go on vacation right after." His odd behavior aroused my suspicion. We'd planned to get engaged at the end of the year, his sudden change of heart, his jittery demeanor, none of it matched his usual calm self. While he showered, I snuck a look at his unlocked laptop. What I found in the folders made my blood run cold, a forged financial statement, and emails between him and my father, detailing plans to siphon off the Winslow family business's assets. Dad's company had been struggling for 2 years, kept afloat only by Mom's inheritance. Elliott had been the CFO for 3 years. He'd never loved me, he'd only approached me to steal my family's fortune. I grabbed the laptop and stormed toward the bathroom, ready to confront him. But as I opened the door, he shoved me hard. My head hit the edge of the toilet, and everything went black. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. Elliott sat beside me, his eyes red, holding my hand. "Lila, you scared me to death," he said. "Last night, you had a total breakdown, accused me of trying to hurt you, then hit your head." I tried to protest, but a doctor walked in, holding a diagnosis. MS. "Winslow, our tests indicate you may have acute delusional disorder. You'll need to stay for observation." Looking at the doctor's confident expression and the calculation in Elliott's eyes, I suddenly understood, he was turning the tables, painting me as the crazy one. I tried to get out of bed, but nurses held me down, injecting me with a sedative. I drifted off again, waking up in the back of a van headed to the mental hospital, 2 silent orderlies beside me. My parents sat in the front seat, not once glancing back. Only later did I piece together the truth. In the hospital corridor that day, Elliott had cornered them, his voice low and deadly. "Mr. and Mrs. Winslow, Lila's condition is dangerous. She needs the sanitarium to get better. If you don't cooperate, this evidence of Teddy cheating at Princeton will be on the dean's desk tomorrow." Teddy was their pride and joy, he'd just gotten a full scholarship to Princeton. Elliott had hit them where it hurt most. 739, medication time. The nurse's voice pulled me back to reality. She held a glass of water and a handful of colorful pills, her eyes sharp with scrutiny. I stared at those pills, knowing they'd turn me into a mindless zombie if I swallowed them. I'm not taking them. I'm not crazy, I don't need meds. I turned my head away, refusing to comply. The nurse said nothing, just called to the door. 2 large male orderlies marched in, pinning me down. The nurse pried my jaw open, shoving the pills into my mouth and forcing water down my throat. The bitter taste burned my tongue. I gagged, but swallowed hard. It's for your own good, she said, tidying her tray, her tone flat. Your family can visit once a week. Mr. Elliott called this morning to check on you. At the sound of Elliott's name, my blood turned to ice. He must be celebrating, with me locked up, he could loot my family's fortune unimpeded. But why had my parents believed him? Did they really think I was that fragile? Only later did I learn the truth, they hadn't believed him, they'd been paralyzed by fear. Elliott hadn't just threatened Teddy, he'd hinted he had evidence of Dad embezzling funds to cover the company's losses, a desperate act Dad had been forced into, and one Elliott had weaponized against them. Life in the sanitarium was monotonous and suffocating. Wake up at 7, shower, breakfast, then therapy, sitting in the activity room staring into space, or listening to the psychiatrist's nonsense. A second round of meds in the afternoon. Everyone here seemed broken, a woman muttering to the walls, a man screaming uncontrollably, a girl huddled in the corner, her eyes empty, like a puppet without strings. I tried talking to the other patients, hoping to find someone I could trust, but most either rambled incoherently or retreated into their own worlds. Then, on the 5th day, I met Alya. She shared my room, barely 20, always sketching in a notebook. She told me her stepmother had sent her here after she'd caught her having an affair with the butler, and discovered she was stealing her father's inheritance. They say I have schizophrenia, but I'm not crazy, Alya whispered, drawing a masked man in her notebook. A lot of us here are like you, we found out too much, so they locked us up and called us insane. Alya's words confirmed my worst fears. Elliott had definitely bribed the hospital to back up his lies. I had to escape, or I'd lose everything, my family's fortune, my freedom, maybe even my sanity. In the days that followed, I pretended to cooperate. I took my meds, hiding them under my tongue, spitting them out when the nurse wasn't looking, acted emotionally stable with the psychiatrist, even chatted with the other patients. I knew I had to make them think I was getting better to lower their guard. Sure enough, Elliott visited every week, bringing a bouquet of white roses. He'd sit in the visitation room, his voice gentle, his eyes probing. Lila, how are you feeling? The doctor says you're making great progress. He held my hand, his fingers cold. As soon as you're better, we'll go to Santorini, just the two of us. I'm fine, Elliott, I said, forcing a smile, deliberately sounding dazed. I can't really remember what happened. Maybe I was just overreacting. At the sight of my amnesia, the wariness in Elliott's eyes faded, replaced by triumph. He believed it, believed the meds had erased his crimes from my memory. As he left, he patted my head. Keep cooperating. I'll be waiting for you. I watched his retreating back, my nails digging into my palms. Just you wait, Elliott. I'll make you pay for what you did. Alya told me a secret, her stepmother had bribed an orderly to keep an eye on her. Every Wednesday night, he snuck her things from the outside world. Maybe we can bribe him to send a letter, Alya said, her eyes lighting up with hope. I know my dad's old friend, he's a lawyer. He'll help us. That Wednesday night, the orderly, Ronnie, showed up, bringing Alya a copy of the latest fashion magazine. As she paid him, she slipped him the letter I'd written, detailing Elliott's plot, my wrongful commitment, begging him to deliver it to Professor Marcus, my college advisor. Professor Marcus wasn't just a mentor, he was a powerful lawyer. He wouldn't ignore this. Ronnie hesitated for a long time, then slipped the letter into his pocket. "I'll do my best," he said. The next few days were agony. I worried Ronnie would hand the letter to Elliott, or that Professor Marcus would never get it. Then, a week later, Ronnie snuck me a note. It read, "Professor Marcus has your letter. He'll act soon." Tears streamed down my face. It was the first glimmer of hope I'd had since I'd been locked up. Elliott must have sensed something was wrong. When he visited next, he looked irritable. "Lila, the doctor says you're better. Why can't you be discharged yet?" He tapped his fingers on the table, a sharp, impatient rhythm. "I can't wait to marry you." "Maybe they need to observe me a little longer," I said, feigning confusion. But I knew the truth. He was desperate to take full control of the company, and he needed me locked up where I couldn't testify against him. Just as I thought things were finally going my way, disaster struck. Alia's stepmother found out about Ronnie smuggling letters. She fired him, and ordered the hospital to tighten security. Alia and I were separated into different rooms, our movements restricted. We couldn't even see each other anymore. Despair washed over me. Without Ronnie, how would I contact Professor Marcus? Would I be trapped here forever? I was on the verge of giving up when an unexpected visitor arrived, my cousin, Sierra. She'd been studying abroad, only returning to the U.S. last week. She'd clearly suspected something was off about my psychosis, so she'd come to see me. In the visitation room, Sierra looked at me, her eyes instantly filling with tears. "Lila, you're not crazy, are you?" She squeezed my hand, her voice breaking. "I don't believe you," just snapped. "Elliott did this to you, didn't he?" I couldn't hold back anymore. I told her everything. Sierra's face turned red with rage. She slammed her fist on the table. "That bastard. He's not getting away with this. I'm going to find Professor Marcus right now. We'll get you out." With Sierra's help, things finally turned around. 3 days later, Professor Marcus arrived with a team of lawyers. They presented evidence of Elliott's forged financial statements, and the emails threatening my parents, proving they'd been coerced into signing my admission papers, blackmailed with Teddy's future. The hospital director had no choice but to confess. Elliott had bribed the doctors to fake my diagnosis. When the restraints were cut from my wrists, I stared at the sunlight streaming through the window, feeling like a bird finally freed from a cage. Elliott and his accomplices were arrested soon after. Forgery, false imprisonment, embezzlement, they'd face serious jail time. When I saw my parents, they looked 10 years older. Mom threw her arms around me, sobbing uncontrollably. "Lila, my baby, I'm so sorry." Her shoulders shook violently. "That monster Elliott, he threatened Teddy's future. He said if we didn't sign, he'd ruin his life. Your father and I panicked. We were so cowardly, we sacrificed you to save him." Dad stood beside her, his hands in his hair, his tall frame hunched over. His voice was thick with emotion. "I failed you, Lila. I couldn't protect you, and he used my mistake against us. Your mother and I haven't slept in weeks. Every time we close our eyes, we see you being dragged away. We deserve to live with this guilt." He pulled a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket, his handwritten confession, filled with remorse. "We've frozen all of Elliott's shares in the company. We've told the police everything. Please, can you ever forgive us?" I looked at their haggard faces, their bloodshot eyes, Mom's swollen lids and Dad's graying temples. In the end, I nodded. They'd been victims too. Their signature had been a twisted act of parental love, misplaced but sincere. The day I walked out of the sanitarium, Sierra and Professor Marcus were waiting for me. The sun warmed my skin, bright and golden. I glanced back at the building that had imprisoned me for a month, a giant cage, swallowing the freedom and dignity of so many. But I knew now, as long as you hold on to hope, as long as you never give up, you can break through the darkness and find the light. I took a deep breath and stepped forward into the sun. The road ahead was long, but I was ready. No matter what challenges came my way, I'd face them head on. I'd protect my family, and I'd never let anyone turn me into a caged bird again.